Welcome to the Young Man's Guide to Life podcast. Woo! We are here, season 1, episode 1. We're going to talk about the professor, D&D, and engaging your passions. My name is Andrew, and I am your host, and my co-host is Eric Jensen. Welcome to the podcast, Eric Jensen.
This is really fun, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to do a lot of these things over the next few months.
Yeah.
We've already begun these podcasts, and they are going well so far. We're hoping this one goes about half as well as others have gone. We're about halfway done with this podcasting thing already. But hey, today the goal of this whole podcast, is to help young adults make beneficial choices for their lives through calling out misconceptions about adulthood.
Yes.
Learning from the mistakes of others.
Me.
And empowering them to take risks and enjoy their journey. That is our goal. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to have some fun dialogue between the two of us who are both adults. We're both young men.
We are.
We have just become men. We have been young boys for most of our life, and now we are in the young man category.
What is the moment of delineation?
I think...
18... is like what everybody says, but
that's not real adulthood, though.
No,
I think when all of your bills are paid for by you. Yeah, like I think there's no.
Then I'm still not an adult because the government of Canada. Thank you for paying some of my bills.
Well, I
get a child tax benefit.
That's socialism for you. The government pays all of our bills. Isn't that how this whole thing works?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Me too.
So
says the American.
Says the American. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about adult life, and we're gonna talk about some really hard lessons that we've learned. We're also gonna talk about some misconceptions that we feel like young adults have about being an adult. I know a lot of young adults who should be adults and aren't yet, and it would only take kind of one step to be an adult.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
So we're gonna try to address that and be helpful to those people.
Adulting.
Trying,
making it go,
and so we're also going to just address things that are going on in culture, and so quite obviously today is March 22nd, 2020, and we are officially at the peak of quarantine season for us with the coronavirus that is sweeping through.
Yeah,
it's a peak so far.
Yeah, every day is a new day.
Every day is a new day.
New peak.
A new peak, yeah.
So
yeah, we don't make light of that, but that's the reality we're living with. And so we're going to address just kind of things that are going on in our life and things that we're doing to pass time, what it means and looks like to be an adult here and now in this weird season that we're in, and maybe some things we can do now that can help us be an adult when we're no longer in quarantine.
This is what I'm doing now. This is how I'm passing the time, is I'm recording a podcast with my friend Andrew.
Yeah.
Because we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
We thought it would be fun. So how did you like that segue, or is that not good?
No, it was a perfect segue.
Okay,
it was a perfect segue. We haven't worked on transitions at all. It's episode 1, so we'll get there. So you have a lot of time on your hands, obviously, Eric. And what are you doing to pass that time?
Oh man, I don't know. Like I'm doing a lot of stuff. We are doing a lot. It is kind of a weird thing because we're busy, but it's just all new things. So it's like doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
And for me to have a awesome studio set up where we can record podcasts kind of at will is too good of an opportunity to pass up. So I'm really excited about it.
I feel like we're going to spend a lot of time here. We're going to produce a lot of garbage that nobody should ever listen to. 80% of what comes out of our mouth should not be listened to by anybody. And so we apologize for that in advance. But 20% might be helpful, might be useful, might be practical, and might get us somewhere.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What am I doing to pass time? I doing a little bit of this. I was saying to you earlier that if I wasn't a pastor, I feel like this is what I would do. Yeah. And I know you're probably thinking, you're not very good at this. You would not do this well. And I understand that.
I know, I was thinking that.
I would want to do this. It's kind of like, this would be like my dream. Like, you want to be an astronaut, you're probably never going to be. You're not smart enough to be. I would want to do this. I'm not smart enough to be. I'm not that good enough to be.
Have you ever thought about being an astronaut?
I've thought about being in space. I've never desired doing more work to be in space.
You haven't filled out a form that says, I would like to be an astronaut and call me if you want to go to Mars?
No, haven't filled that out.
Yeah, a guy at my campus actually, he signed up. I think they signed up for like to be selected for the Mars expedition.
Wasn't that this year? I thought this was supposed to happen.
I think it was supposed to happen. I don't know what happened to it, but it's like you basically sign a one-way ticket.
Yeah.
You just like, you're never coming back.
Which seems terribly sad and lonely.
Well, I mean, you go with other people.
That's true.
You don't know them.
I hope you like them.
It's sort of like the world's most extreme blind date.
Yeah, I like that.
It's like,
speaking of blind dates.
Board a spaceship and fly to another planet where you will die with this other person.
Is your wife into Love is Blind?
No.
No. Okay.
I think she might watch it, like, secretly, but I have very low tolerance for the crappy, like, romantic reality shows. I just can't do it. It's so cringy to me. It's, like, so awkward to me that people do that.
That's date night.
I know that you, yeah, I know you're into that.
I tried to distance myself a little while ago, and then I as a pastor, we take Mondays off as a Sabbath, and then so I was like, well, Mondays are yours, honey, and guess what's on Monday nights is Bachelor. So that's what.
Oh, okay.
No, Bachelor. Yeah,
see, I don't even know.
That's what we're doing. So yeah.
But I watch Survivor. That's my reality show crush right now.
Dude, this last episode was
nuts.
Crazy. Denise for the win. All-time move.
Well, let's not spoil. We can't spoil because we can't spoil.
Sorry.
We don't know what
Sorry,
Denise
Eric.
did.
Yeah.
Something happened and things went down. And then, Jeff Probst. So I got to say Jeff Probst is probably one of my favorite television personalities.
He might have aged the best in all of TV and cinema.
And I feel like he's really good on the fly. He's very good at that.
He's seen it all. He's dealt with it all. He's heard it all, right?
So good. Anyway.
I guess when you're doing the exact same thing, saying the exact same thing over and over and over again for 100 years, you get pretty good at knowing how to respond.
Yeah.
What else are you doing to pass your time? I heard that you started a thing before we went to quarantine, and you were continuing that thing, but it looks a little bit different.
Yeah, well, it sort of didn't happen, though. So I recently discovered Dungeons & Dragons, and I really like it. It's a really fun game to play with friends, and it's more like, think of it more like an improv class where you like an improv class with a video game where you fight dragons and stuff. So it's really, really fun. And you can kind of do whatever you want. So I don't know how to describe it, but it's really, really fun. You can watch a lot of YouTube videos about it. But so we started a game on, So so this is actually funny. I got into this game because of Modern Family.
The show
Modern Family. The character played by the actress Sofia Vergara, who plays the character of Jay's wife. What's her name? You don't know the show?
I don't watch pagan television.
You're too busy watching The Bachelor. Anyway, the character that is played. So Sofia Vergara is she's Jay's wife, the Colombian girl, and I don't know. But her husband in real life is a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd, and he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and so he's a huge Steelers fan. And I don't know, I got into this thing, and I realized that he's a really good-looking dude, married to this beautiful woman or whatever, and he has the world's greatest Dungeons and Dragons lair in his basement in Los Angeles. Okay. And he's kind of a legend in the Dungeons and Dragons world, and this is way more information than anybody wants to know, but he appeared on a show, a YouTube show called Critical Role.
Okay.
And Critical Role is like the nerd Bachelor.
I like it.
It's I like it. Where nerdy voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons and they film it. And so it's really, really cool. But so I started watching and then got it into it, and then I was like, oh, that looks really fun. And then so it was kind of one of those YouTube rabbit holes that led me into a hobby that I have quite enjoyed over the last several months.
He's so cool, and he kind of transcends the norm of the
stereotype.
Dungeons and Dragons stereotype. Yeah.
Because when you think of a Dungeons and Dragons, somebody who plays Dungeons and Dragons, you think of a guy that probably looks a lot like me.
Yeah, I was picturing that, actually.
Right? So, really into Star Wars and not into much else. And so And so I never really got into it just because I thought it was like I have a propensity to lean into the nerd world, and I was always afraid of it. It was like a gateway drug, you know. It was sort of like, you know, I'll smoke cigarettes, but I won't do that. You know, it's like I was always like, okay, Star Wars is my cigarettes, and like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons was like, I don't want to go that far. Yeah. I don't know if there's any return.
Yeah.
And so I always kind of held it off, and then so yeah.
It's a slippery slope, man.
It is. So anyway, I played with some friends. We knew some people out in Cambridge who played. Some guys at my campus even came over, and a couple girlfriends, wives are playing. So
That's impressive.
It's a family event now.
Family event.
Wednesday nights. But so to your point is because we're trying to practice, you know, some responsible distancing and stuff like that. We tried to do D&D live via webcam, and it didn't really work. We're going to try it again this week, though, so I'm more hopeful.
I'm rooting you on. I hope it works for you, just for your sake. Now, when I think D&D, I think what almost everybody else thinks, royal waste of time, total nerd out. And so, convince me otherwise. I want to be quickly, give me like the elevator pitch to convince someone who's never been into any of that stuff, who thinks the way I think about that stuff. Convince me otherwise.
So it is more of an escape for you to like, if you've ever thought of acting, think of it more like acting and story. It's collective storytelling is really what it is. And so you play a character, but you also write the character in real time. And so while you're in the game, you know, you're responsible for what your character says, what they do, how they do it, and all that stuff. And then there are parameters that govern all of the metrics. So how heavy is that thing? And there's parameters to guide how that is, and am I able to lift it? And it's pretty easy. And then the guy who's running the game, the dungeon master, he kind of like helps you along and determines those things for you. And so you fight dragons, and but you also do other stuff, like you can solve mysteries, and you can, you know, you can buy a castle and live there, and you can do whatever you want.
It's kind of like how I like to play games.
Sandbox.
Where it's like the rules are relative. There's not real hard boundaries, right? They're kind of all soft, and you all decide as you go how the game works.
Yeah. And the dungeon master kind of like his word is law. And so if it helps the narrative, you can do something crazy, you know, like I try to leap off of a, you know, collapsed building, and you know, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't.
Okay.
It's really fun. So
are you the dungeon master most of the time?
I've done both.
Okay. What do you like better?
Well, I actually like playing the game better, but I'm still pretty new.
What do you think I would like better?
I think you would like playing the game better.
You think?
Yeah, because being a dungeon master is, you have to like come up with that's the really nerdy, like you have to be a nerd to be a dungeon master. You can play the game being a casual nerd and like you can just goof off.
Yeah.
But like being a DM, you have to like come up with names of mountains and what kind of hobgoblin lives there and what treasure is found. You know, so it's like you got to get really nerdy with it.
Not my thing at all, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're welcome to join. If we do maybe we can have you join our game and just experiencing it.
I will promise here live on this podcast, first episode, first season, that I will play at least one time with you guys.
Score.
I'll do it.
Orin Witt plays. So
that is not.
We're trying to get.
That is not convincing me to play.
That's not helping you.
No.
He plays.
Love you.
Well.
Yeah.
My friend Jonathan. I think those are the only people you know.
Okay.
No, you don't know Jonathan actually.
No, I don't.
Never mind.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you wanna play Dungeons and Dragons, you know, hit me up.
Yeah, young adults need more things to waste their time on.
Here's the real pitch for the young adult vibe, is video games are all the same. There are strict rules, guidelines. You are paired randomly with people, or there's like people on your friends list or whatever that you're like gaming with, but the parameters are very limited. You either are open world PvP, player versus player, where you're shooting other people randomly on the internet, or you're going through a story that only has one outcome. D&D is different. It's incredibly social. Like, you actually create bonds, not only with the characters that you create and play in game, but also with the people that you're playing with. Like, you're sitting in a living room with people.
Let's go.
You're having drinks and snacks, and it's community, man. It's so dope. And I think that is why it has gotten this new resurgence, is because it hits on this other level of community that we, as much as we love technology, we have been missing out on.
Yeah. Sold. I am totally bought.
Do it.
I support you playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you get into it.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't wait. I don't know what kind of character I will develop, but I'm looking forward to being creative in that endeavor.
I'm thinking you'll probably be like a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like blowing stuff up with fire.
Yep.
I think that'd be fun.
That's about my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been struggling because contrary to I'm not the nerd. I'm not into the
nerdy stuff.
The nerdy stuff, and not nerd. Like, I'm not using that demeaningly. It's a cultural thing, right? I'm not into the Star Wars stuff, right? I've watched all the Star Wars movies, and don't ask me who's who and what they do. I don't know. I don't care.
I know.
But
I know all of it.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. Yeah, but I'm into the sports.
You're into sports.
I'm struggling right now pretty heavily.
Yeah. This is your moment. This is your moment to dip your toe into nerd world.
Yeah.
What have you been? How have you been managing with no sports on TV?
So I've been looking for sports content, and I've been looking for like past sports content. I've been looking for.
Are they still playing snooker?
I don't know what snooker is.
I don't really either, but I see it on ESPN every once in a while. I've always wondered. Anyway,
that's
sorry.
not here. We have curling here, and which I'll watch and enjoy. I don't even think curling's happening. That's how crazy this is. I don't even think people are curling anymore. But so I was going on YouTube. I was like, what can I watch? And then there's Dude Perfect. Like they're those guys who all the kids watch. They throw things into nets and stuff, and they do the same thing over and over again. It's just they use a different item, or they use the same items, just a different angle shot, right? So it's like
it's true.
So much Dude Perfect. You can only have so much Dude Perfect. But then I discovered a childhood icon of mine on YouTube. He's still producing YouTube content. He's still traveling the world. And I don't know if you've heard about him. His name is The Professor. Have you heard of The Professor?
I don't know. I don't watch that much sports.
So I don't know, like 10, 12 years ago, there was like this kid, this tiny little white kid. Yeah, Google it. Tiny little white kid who just would break everybody's ankles. And I don't know how good he was at other parts of the game of basketball.
For my nerd friends, breaking your ankles means that you are so skilled at basketball and nimble that you cause the other person to fall over or stumble.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah,
it's necessary.
Yeah, and normally, white guys aren't typically. I'm a white guy. White guy who played basketball. Typically, we're not the ones who are able to move as quick side to side in the game of basketball. And so he was like this icon who was this tiny little kid, but he had all these sick moves. Yeah. And he broke people's ankles all the time, and so I haven't thought about him in 12 years. He didn't make NBA. He's not. I think he played professional basketball other places in the world, but then I was on YouTube looking for basketball content, and it turns out that what's his name? Grayson Boucher.
Or Boucher.
Grayson Boucher, the professor. He's still getting invites to places to play basketball, like Venice Beach. There was an episode where he went to a prison and he was just like crossing guys up and breaking their ankles and dunking on them. I don't know if he was dunking, but he's like throwing balls off their heads and stuff. I'm like, against murderers in a prison. And I'm like, man, this guy is so hardcore. And so I've been kind of binging the Professor clips.
He was in Semi-Pro, the Will Ferrell movie.
I'm not shocked. I didn't know that, but
that's
I'm not
cool.
shocked. That's the perfect place for him.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's cool, man.
So that's what I've been up to on the YouTubes. Yeah. Getting kind of tired of Netflix content, Amazon Prime content. So just trying to find stuff on YouTube. But YouTube's so vast, but also like...
It's developed its own genre, and it's kind of made everything YouTube-y. That like everything is so unique that it's all vanilla.
Right.
Yeah, that didn't start.
Oh,
so
we don't know how much time we're in.
Yeah, we don't know how much time.
We'll just let our production manager yell at us.
Yeah.
That's how we're doing. We're only 1 minute in? Huh.
1 minute.
1 minute left? But that can't be right.
No.
Anyway.
It probably is. So we should probably...
Let's move on to something useful. But anyway, that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome.
What we want to do for young adults, we just want to talk about young adult stuff, but we also want to have a principle. We want something that you got to walk away with. And we're going to try to, kind of just have different topics that we talk about every single week that you can walk away with like a nugget of wisdom or insight or just, I don't know, lesson learned for you. And maybe that'll actually help you. And so today, what do you want young adults to know today with all the stuff that's going on in the world? What can they be doing today? What's a good piece for them?
Man, I think taking your passion by the horns and just doing it right now. Like, I say this a lot. Like, everyone's rich in something, right? And so right now you might be poor in dollars or in work hours at Starbucks or whatever it might be. But you're rich in time right now.
True.
And so like we're actually doing like we've been talking about even.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to use this time to invest it in something that we're passionate about and just see what comes of it. Like I think that if I were able to go back and tell myself as like a 22, 23-year-old guy or gal, I mean, that like what would I do different? It would be like trust the things that you're good at and really like explore those areas because, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Now it's harder for me, right? Because it's like if I wanted to take a year off and, go RVing around the United States and Canada and, I don't know, knit sweaters, right? That's a little harder because I have 4 kids and a wife.
Yeah.
But in a season where maybe the stakes aren't that high, press into the things that you really love and see what comes of it, It's pretty neat opportunity.
Yeah, that's really good. Do you have examples that young adults who are gifted or passionate about certain things and you're like, look, if you're passionate and good at this, do that. Like, give us some examples, some practical steps, some practical examples.
Practical examples? Well, like I remember playing music with some people when I was younger. I don't know. Some people may think I'm still young. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that young. But we used to play music at these coffee shops and stuff like that. We used to play in like local bands and stuff. And my buddy Luke, he moved to Nashville to like really make a go of it, And we all kind of snickered and we're like, okay, you're gonna be a famous rock star. And actually, what's funny is like he's releasing albums and he was the tour manager for Rascal Flatts, and so he like knows people in the business now, and he's doing all this stuff. So check out Zvada, Zvada. Right. Zvada, that's his name. That's his last name, but it's also the name of his music on Spotify. It's pretty good stuff, and he's made a career out of the thing that he was passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really cool. And so it just proves that if you want it, you should chase it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, if you want to be a barista at Starbucks, good on you.
Yeah.
Do it.
Chase it and do it well, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got to lose?
What do you got to lose? Especially in this season. I feel like we're kind of doing this, like we said earlier. We're kind of, like, I've always thought this would be really cool. I've always liked these tech things. I've always liked video stuff. I've always liked these forums and platforms and stuff like that. And just in our day-to-day jobs, we don't really have all the time and the freedom to explore them. And now just with how everything is going, we actually have the space and time to explore them and see where they go and what they do. So we're kind of living what you're preaching right now, which I think is kind of cool. So engage your passions, pursue your passions in the season so you can, and see it as a gift from God to actually do that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, if like whatever comes of it, like that was the thing that I think really stands out. When I talk to young people, when I talk about life and stuff, is that you may not be a rock star at the end of your pursuit, but you will learn not only things about yourself, not only things about what you're passionate about. You might find the perfect thing along the way. Like you might find, I really love music, but what I really love is sound engineering this, you know what I mean? And so you find something that you're really suited for and good at. And I think that's the only way to find out those lessons is to try it.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's really helpful insight, honestly. It's really, really good insight. And if you're a young adult and you're trying to figure out what to do with all this extra time you have on your hands.
Besides play Dungeons & Dragons.
Play Dungeons & Dragons and binge watch The Professor on YouTube.
I'm going to check that out.
What's your passion? And just work at it. Pursue it. And it might take time. This is, we're not going to make $30 million like Joe Rogan here, but.
Or are we?
Well, maybe, hopefully. Send us your money.
Patreon.
So today we talked about Dungeons & Dragons, The Professor, and engaging your passions. I had a lot of fun doing it. This was the Young Man's Guide to Life podcast. And for future podcast episodes, we're going to address things like, am I too young to get married?
Yeah.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 21.
Okay, I was 24. A lot of people are asking, am I too young? How old do I got to be?
You were
when I'm
old.
ready? I know, I was old. That's the question. A lot of young adults.
Kid when I was 24.
Am I too young to get married? Another, should I live in my mom's basement before
Yes.
or until I'm able to afford to buy a house? Because renting is for schmucks. We're going to address that.
Yeah.
We both rent. We are schmucks. We both happen to rent. We'll talk about the correlation there, whether or not it is. Something that I get all the time is I've sent in 30 resumes to 30 different
How to get a job?
and I haven't gotten a call back.
Oh, I want
Market,
to talk about that
something's wrong.
now.
I know.
be
We'll
fun.
talk about that stuff. I think it's really,
Yeah.
really helpful to talk about. Not that you or I
No,
recently
we're not
really
experts,
had to go get a job, but there's things you can do and things you can learn. And then one of them that I'm passionate about is help. My culinary skills don't go further than a bowl of cereal. What should I do? We're going to address that. We're going to talk
This
about
is
that.
fun.
It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun
I love
and
your ideas.
hopefully helpful. And so if there's any other notes or any other ideas that you want covered on this podcast and you're actually going to listen, the three of you who are ever going to listen to the end of this, we'll post an email in the show notes and you can
Believe,
We're
and
gonna
you'll
believe.
achieve.
All right, let's believe. We're
Live your
engaging
best
our
life.
passions, living our best young adult life. We'll put an email in the show notes, and you can send us an email and let us know things that you're actually interested in covering, not because you think we have anything really interesting to say about them, but you're interested in hearing them talked about, and maybe send us your thoughts on them. So thanks for joining us on the Young Man's Guide to Life podcast, and we will see you for episode 2 coming soon.
Awesome.